Faith will produce the works. Works will not produce the faith. So works are a sign that the faith is there. So faith does, in fact, come first. If faith without works is dead, what about works without faith? Yeah, it's dead. You know, they go together. This is like the body and the spirit. You can't have one without the other and have a living being here. So what is our responsibility? What do we need to do to please God? We say we have faith. What should it produce? Works. It ought to be producing some kind of a works on that. Not a trick question there. Paul looks at it, says this in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. For by grace you have been saved through faith. That's a true statement. Everybody in here that's saved, we're saved by grace through faith. And that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not as a result of works, that no one should boast. Salvation's not our paycheck. We're saved by grace through faith. It's a gift. It's not a paycheck. So we don't have the right to boast about, I'm a better worker than you. It doesn't matter. You serve your role, I'll serve mine, and, we'll all get to heaven together. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So this great debate that we want to imagine between Paul and James, Paul just said the same thing, didn't he? Saved by grace through faith. Here's these works that God has created for us now that we are faithful, now that we are saved, and we should walk in them. That's faith. Any questions or comments? Kenny?
Yeah, I was just going to say, he says the same thing in Romans.
Yes, he does.
And when you look at the definition of sin, the greatest command is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and neighbor as yourself. And so on, when you look at the definition of sin, it talks about both missing the target and also either knows to do good, does not do it to him. And it's sin, when you look at Romans chapter 6, you also see, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound, may it never be? But when you look at logic, when you become a Christian, you're buried with Christ, you're buried with him, you're raised in a new life, you're raised with Jesus, Jesus is in you, he controls you, he controls your mind, and he controls your works. You're like him, you do everything that Jesus, you have his compassion, you have his love, you have his, the list just goes on and on. That should motivate you and control the way that you live your life. And it's just logic for Christians. When you're raised with Christ, this is the way you live, not according to the flesh, as Paul says, but according to the Spirit in Romans chapter 8.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Will we do that perfectly? No. So therefore that means we shouldn't even try? No. Do what you can. Find a way to serve. I think, I'll get to you in just a second here. I think one of the things that we have a problem with in our society is that when we look at each other right now, what's the first question that we ask? Yeah, well, no, I mean mentally, within ourselves. We don't really look at each other in the sense, we look at, okay, is this guy going to be a jerk? Is he going to get in my way? Is she going to annoy me or something like that? We don't look at other people with the idea, what does this person need from me? How do I serve God in this particular relationship? That ought to be the first question that we're asking. And I'm ashamed to tell you, that's, ninth on my list. Kind of thing. Rodney? Well, there's another voice out there, isn't there? and that other voice is having its say in the matter. I think sometimes it's an idea of the debate's really fun, and then when we're debating that type of a topic in that way, maybe it's not so much who's right or who's wrong, it's which one of us can debate better and is a smarter person. Yeah, with respect to that particular issue, I always go back and look at Acts chapter 2, verse 37 and 38. Because in Acts chapter 2, you have the gospel preached for the first time in human history in a way that matches the circumstances it was preached to you and I today. And I mean by that, Christ has been born, Christ has died, Christ has been resurrected, and Christ has ascended to heaven. After that, this is the first gospel sermon that's actually preached. In Acts chapter 2, verse 37, the most important question that audience could have asked, they asked, what shall we do? What shall we do? How Peter answers that question for the very first time under the circumstances that you and I are living under that matches that set of circumstances right there is absolutely crucial. Whatever Peter says in Acts chapter 2 and verse 38, that's definitive. Now you look at the book of Acts as a whole, and I actually did this. When people are talked about being converted in the book of Acts, there are usually three phrases that they use, that Luke uses to describe it. He says they believed, they were persuaded, or they were baptized. And he uses them almost 1/3 of the time each in there. So he's talking about the same thing and using this type of a thing there, and it matches what Peter said in Acts chapter 2 and verse 38. So why do they debate it? I don't know. That's way above my pay grade. But if it doesn't line up with what Peter says in Acts chapter 2 and verse 38, there's something wrong with it. Any other comments or questions? All right, yes.
I think the breakdown comes from what the definition of calling on the Lord is. And a lot of people can't connect the dots when it says calling on the name of the Lord, what they actually mean by calling on the name. They just think that, oh, God, hear me, and then you're saved. That's not what they mean by calling on the name.
No. Okay, any other questions or comments? Because we got to give up the auditorium now. So I appreciate your comments and your attention. And next week we're going to get into Acts chapter 3, or James chapter 3. There, finally found the book. And we're going to talk about teachers.